It's been a while. I honestly didn't think that I would be making this video, but I thought, you know what? What is a hobby if not performative for content? So I am making my yearly book synopsis thing. I don't know what to call it. This is my year in books. We'll call it that. I'm making my year in books. I don't have all of the books that I read because I borrowed a lot of books this year, and I also am giving... I have people borrowing my books, is what I'm trying to say. Because I've recommended books, that's what I'm trying to say. I've recommended a lot of books to my friends and have therefore given the book that I own to them for them to use, and they have not. Just take that out. I read Stargirl, which is apparently a series or a movie, an original film on Disney+. I have not watched the film. I might tonight. Who can say for sure? My boyfriend suggested this book to me before we started dating, and then a year-ish after we started dating, I decided to read it. It was cute, for sure. I think I remember... Oh, you know what? Yeah, this year I kept little sticky notes in the books for some of them. I stopped doing that for sure. My notes on this one. Manic Pixie Dream Girl trope. Changes herself for main character in the middle, which made me really sad. The scrapbook she made for the kid on her street should be submitted to police as evidence. Literally, she's stalking him. Loved the part about erasing yourself and becoming part of everything on page 91. Let's examine. Luke, you're the only one who watches these. This is the book, obviously, that you suggested to me. Oh, okay. Page 91 is the part where they're out in the desert and they're just laying on the ground. And she's like, I feel like I'm melting into the earth when I'm out here, and there's silence and I'm just listening to everything. And honestly, that kind of set the stage for my entire year this year, because I was trying a lot of different things. I was trying to stop listening to music. I deleted Instagram. When I say stop listening to music, I mean like stop having a constant background sound, which I'm still struggling with right now. I'm trying to stop using YouTube as background noise because I have to like go on to YouTube and choose a video, and then I just waste like hours choosing a video or like scrolling through shorts while I was looking for a video, and one popped up and ooh, the algorithm got me, you know? So I've been trying to work on that and be more present, and then this idea of meditation will come back in one of the last two books that I read, because I did a project this year. I'm in school, that's why, I was gonna say that's why I'm not streaming. I'm not streaming because I don't want to. I'm in school, and I did an essay on John Cage, and I talked about his composition 433, which I related to a form of meditation, and I learned all about that, and we'll get to it, don't worry, we'll get to it. Yeah, love the part about erasing yourself and becoming part of everything. That really that part of this book really set my year up pretty damn well. This one is very much so a young adult book. It is clearly, obviously it's called Stargirl, but it's very clearly written for, 12 to 13-year-olds. Even that might be a bit old. But that doesn't mean it's a bad book. It just isn't meant for a 24-year-old who hates the Manic Pixie Dream Girl trope to read, you know? So give it a read if you like that trope. I don't think I know anyone who likes that trope. But give it a read if you love autism. because this girl in this book is very autistic and she's very endearing and I love her character so much, which is why I got sad when she changed in the middle of it for the main character. But honestly, I mean, you know what? The Manic Pixie Dream Girl might just be autism. The next book I read was... I can't read. The next book I read was The Art of Racing in the Rain. This book is fucked up. One of the reviews on the back says, "Fans of Marley and Me rejoice," which, yeah, I don't think I cried reading this book. I guess we'll find out on my little sticky note, but it's, oh yeah, there's one line in this book that I hated. Was mostly really good. Loved the insight into racing/driving. That was pretty cool. It's about a race car driver, and it's told through the POV of his dog, Enzo. And he, the dog, loves to watch his owner's races on TV and like on the like recordings that they have of them. And then like throughout the book, the owner is talking to his dog, as you do, and he's explaining to the dog how to drive in the rain, because obviously the dog doesn't understand. I mean, he does in the book, but in real life, you just talk to your dog because you're fucking bored, you know? This was a really good book. I liked the explanation of gestures being Enzo's way of communicating. Because he can't talk, because he's a dog. I didn't like that he described a girl as a teenager. Oh, right. Okay, yeah. She was a teenager who had a full set of breasts for milking and hips wide enough for childbirth, and so was, for all intents and purposes, an adult, but who still acted like a child, always asking for permission to do things. That's a weird way to describe a woman. Even as a dog. I don't care that it's a dog describing her. You don't describe a woman as had a full set of breasts for milking and hips wide enough for childbirth. That's gross. Garth, come on, man. Come on. That's weird. That made me very uncomfortable reading that. That's like more than halfway through the book, and I was about ready to put it down. What year would be complete without me reading a Warriors book? I was in the middle of reading all of them, I think, at the end of last year, and then I ended on 5, so I had to begin on 6, so I finished this one, and then I didn't read any other Warriors books this whole year, but I think this is the one with the fucking crazy statement of "kill me and tell the stars that you won," which is insane for a young adult book. Who writes that? Who does that in a book for teenagers? Young teen, like 13-year-olds. This is an example of a young adult book being really good. I love the Warriors series. I'm never gonna let this down. And of course, what do you follow Warriors up with, if not The Art of War? I read this book as a joke. I read this book fully as a joke, because it's the meme where everybody is like, oh, whatever, Sun Tzu, right? So I was like, I found it at Value Village, I was like, I'm gonna read that book. It was $3, apparently. It was pretty good. It was a pretty good book. It was interesting. I don't really remember that much about it, and I don't think I left it. Oh, I did. Genuinely just thought it would be funny to read after the cat book, sorry. Oh, and then I put a quote in here. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. Sun Tzu. And I even quoted it. Sun Tzu. There it is. And then I read We Need to Talk About Kevin. And I read this book because they joke about it in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, like the movie, because Jake doesn't read. And I was like, oh, surely that'll be a funny thing to read. I didn't know what this book was about going into it. It's not a funny read. It's very not funny. Here's my sticky note for the book I knew nothing about. The first 300 pages drag on forever. Eva was vain as fuck. My daughter may never be truly beautiful. The teacher wasn't beautiful because she had freckles. I do think Kevin loved his mother, weirdly enough. Maybe not, I don't know. Overwritten. I stand by this. And I know it's overwritten because it's supposed to be letters from Eva to her husband. And I know it's overwritten because Eva is vain. You know, she's writing in this style because she's an asshole and she thinks that she's better than everybody. But relax, you know, chill a little bit. It's a good book though. And then I made my friends watch the movie with me, and I had to explain things throughout the movie because the movie, it makes sense and it's fine if you watch it without reading the book, but there's a lot of like character holes, I guess. Not plot holes, but like holes in the characters' personalities that like I kind of was like, okay, so he's doing that because of this. And my friends were like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I definitely suggest that you read the book before you watch the movie. Good book. Long, though. Very long. I remember this took me a long time to get through, and I was, like, falling asleep while reading it, because I was like, I can't fucking do this. But yeah, the first 300 pages drag on forever, and then the last, like, 100 pages zip by. Crazy fast. Good ending. I'm not for the characters. What do I remember about Where the Red Fern Grows? He has dogs. There's a lot of people who are complaining about, like on the reviews on Goodreads, that complain about animal abuse. You're reading a book about hunting, and you're gonna complain that he's hunting animals. Why are you reading the book then? He has 2 dogs, one is named Lulan and one is named Old Dan, and I thought those were really stupid names, and I still do. Yeah, it's just about a kid hunting, and then he goes to like a hunting competition, and then, yeah. This was a weird book. Very young adult, very dated. Everyone on Goodreads was complaining about animal abuse / killing animals. Bro, you're reading a book about hunting, what did you expect him to do with the raccoons? That's my little sticky note on the inside. Like, obviously it's told through the POV of a child, so it's not, like, they're not using, like, super advanced language or anything, you know? Okay. So it's not funny. This next one I've been wanting to read for a while. But what is a little bit funny about it is that I read this at work. I worked at a shoe store, and there was nothing to do a lot of the time because a lot of the time you're just kind of standing there while no one is in the store. So I brought a book to work because I was like, I don't want to play on my phone for that long. I don't want my screen time to be that high. So I brought a book. And when I was reading Where the Red Fern Grows, that was fine. But when I switched to the Diary of Anne Frank, my coworkers laughed at me. I don't know if this is like an abridged version or not, but the very last entry in this diary is her talking about how everything is gonna be okay and everything's getting better and she's happy and excited for the world after the war. And she dies. That's the last entry because she dies. She says something about how she wants to be a better person. I keep on trying to find a way of becoming what I would so like to be and what I could be if there weren't any other people living in the world. Yours, Anne. And that's how the book ends. There's the afterword, which tells you about how she dies, I guess. It talks about how her family was separated, and then I think her dad was the only one that survived the Holocaust. Yeah, what a devastating last line. If there weren't any other people living in the world. What I would like to be and what I could be if there weren't any other people living in the world. Oh yeah, her whole diary is like formatted in a way that she's like writing letters to a friend. So every entry starts with like, Dear Kitty. And then she talks about her day and what happened and all that, and then she says, Yours, Anne. And it's like a letter that she never sent, which is super cute. It's not cute. It's sad. It's really sad, actually. This next one I have suggested to like 12 people at this point. I don't have it right now because I gave it to somebody else, but it's The Power of Habit, Why We Do What We Do in Life and Business. I think I bought this book full price one day after work, and I was fascinated by it because, well, first of all, the cover's bright yellow, obviously. Hey, so actually I bought this because my psych prof suggested it, and we were learning about habits and addiction in class. That's why I bought this book, not just because it was yellow. So that really drew my eye. But then I was like, man, I want to learn about this. And it talks about addictions. It talks about, I mean, obviously gambling is an addiction, but it talks about gambling. It talks about smoking. It talks about how to form new habits, how to replace old unhealthy habits with better ones, why that works. It talks about so much stuff in this book, and it doesn't do it in like a scientific like bullshit way where like I can't understand any of the words that he's saying. He does it in like a narrative. He like tells the story of each person that he's talking about. Like one of them is a woman who got addicted to gambling and was manipulated by the casino to keep gambling, and like how she like dealt with that, and how her family dealt with that, and all that kind of stuff. And then another one was like a guy who worked at Starbucks, and he was really a screw up until he got this job at Starbucks, and they taught him how to form habits at work, and then he used how they taught him at work, he used that in his own life to teach himself how to fix his life up and be who he wanted to be. I think it starts with somebody who's like trying to quit smoking, and she goes jogging every day, and she's trying to replace smoking with jogging, and I think it talks about overeating at some point. It's a really good book, really fascinating. It talks about how changing a habit or quitting an addiction isn't a straight line. It's like a back and forth. It's like a zigzag, and then sometimes it goes further to the one side, and then it sometimes cuts all the way back, and it like zigzags all the way up. It's a fucking adventure. This book is so good. I loved this book. My friend Emma is reading it right now, and I really hope that she likes it as much as I do, and I really hope that she finishes it, because I want to talk to someone about this fucking book, and I might even have to reread it, because I read it back in May. It's January now. It's been like almost a whole year. So, I may have to reread that book. I think I left my sticky note in the book, so I think Emma might be looking at that now. I don't know. It's a great book, though. Please read this book. This one is another one that's not funny. But it's funny to me because of context. The Bridge to Terabithia is a really good book that like destroys people, especially if you make them watch the movie without telling them what happens in the movie, because it comes out of nowhere. If you haven't seen or read The Bridge to Terabithia, skip to this timestamp because I'm gonna spoil it. So the reason that this is funny to me is because my boyfriend, I was trying to convince him to watch this movie with me. And he was like, no, dude, I can't watch that movie. And I was like, why not? He was like, that shit traumatized me as a child. And I quote, "That wasn't just a character dying, that shit was real to me. I mourned her like a real person. That was the first real loss of my life." Which, yeah, I guess if you watched as a child and you had that, like, understanding, yeah, it would be the first real loss of your life. My sister and my dad went to see this movie in theaters when it came out, and they didn't let me come with them because they knew that it would make me really sad. So they were like, no, you can't come and see this movie with us. So I didn't actually watch the movie until this year last year, I guess, with my boyfriend. Because I forgot about it. And then I found this in Value Village, and I was like, oh, that's funny. I should read that. And then I had to beg Luke to watch it with me. Little Fires Everywhere. I got this book. And then I had it on my bookshelf, and my sister started talking about the show that they were making, apparently on Hulu, which you would think I would look at the covers of the books that I buy, but no, I didn't know this was a Hulu series until my sister started talking about it, and she was telling me about it, and I was like, I think I have that book, and then I went and grabbed it. Turns out it's by Celeste, I don't know how to say her last name, Celeste who wrote the book that I read a couple years ago called Everything I Never Told You. And that book shattered me. I didn't cry, I don't think. But that book is so good, and I recommended it to my mother, who read it and told me that she cried almost every single chapter. Because, yeah, it's kind of a devastating book. And then this one, significantly less devastating, I would say. Really good though. Next one I don't have because it is not my book, and also, I gave it to Luke to read, and he hasn't yet. I think this book took me 2 weeks to read. It's so good. Honestly, I don't want to watch the movie, and I haven't yet, because reading it over 2 weeks really adds to the feeling of being stuck on Mars. And I don't know how long the actual movie is, but like, say it's about 2 hours. I think having the story begin and wrap up in only 120 minutes is gonna take that entire feeling of being stuck and isolated and like, you don't know if you're gonna be able to get home as like the character in the book. I think that totally takes it away. I mean, like I said, I haven't seen the movie, and I think it's a Christopher Nolan movie, so it's probably pretty good. But is it Christopher Nolan? Who directs them? Oh, it's Ridley Scott. It's the same guy that did Alien. Which I hated Alien, but I liked Aliens. But, like, I'm sure it's a good movie. And Alien had a pretty good, like, isolation. Joke. Alien had a pretty good isolation, vibe to the movie, but I don't know, man. I feel like The Martian is better as a book, and I don't want to watch the movie. Julia let me borrow this book, and she had written notes in the margins in her book, so I also wrote notes in the margin, and so when Luke gets around to reading it, he's gonna get to read both of our notes, and it's gonna be a really fun read for him, I think. I also don't have the next 6 books that I read, but I'll just line them up across the top here. I read the entire Scott Pilgrim series, which were Luke's. They still are. They're at his house. They were very cute. I liked them a lot. Halfway through reading them, I went and saw the movie, because it was playing at a local theater. So I was like, okay, I'll go watch it. And it was really, really fun. It was really interesting to see the difference between how the movie ends and how the books end, or the manga, I guess, ends. And I asked Luke about that because he's the biggest Scott Pilgrim nerd in the world. And he was like, yeah, that's because they like wrote the movie and like filmed the movie before the books finished. So they didn't know how it was going to end. So they just ended it 2 different ways. And I thought that was super fun. At least I'm pretty sure that's what Luke told me. It's been like a year since I read these. Half a year, sorry. This one I got at Goodwill. I got it for, I think I got it for 25 cents. This book was really interesting. Again, very clearly written for young adults. My review for this one is every book that's written about a teenage boy talks about their penis too much. Maybe we should look into why authors are so obsessed with teenage wieners. It's about a Native American boy who is born with, he's got like the brain thing where like there's too much fluid in your brain. He was born with that, and it kind of like disfigured his skull a little bit, but he doesn't like, there's no actual like pictures of him in the book, but he draws himself. There's like little pictures that he draws throughout the book. So there's him at the beginning, and then like he improves as an artist and he like draws his friends, and then one of his friends is crazy and like draws over his drawing of him, so you never actually get to see his face. But yeah, he likes doing cartoons, and he's really good at doing the realistic drawings as well. I don't really remember how this book ends, but he goes to a school off of the reserve with a bunch of white people. And the people on the reserve are very upset about that. Right? He's both outcast from the community on the reservation and the community outside of the reservation until like a couple of months into him being at school there. It's in the eyes of a like maybe 13, 14-year-old boy. So it's written for 13 to 14-year-old boys. So like I said in my review, they talk about his penis way too much. I think my main issue with this one, and I say this as a completely sober person, it felt like they were really preaching about alcoholism and being like, you shouldn't drink, which I agree with. If you're underage, you shouldn't drink. But yeah, the main character's dad is an alcoholic, his uncle's an alcoholic, his sister, I don't want to spoil that, but something happens with her and alcohol. Something happens with his grandma. It's a good book, but like I said, like so many things happen that it just feels preachy. And I agree with the point that they're preaching, but it's just too much. Next up, I read The Hunger Games. This book, I remember I didn't like the first half of it as a child. Okay, yeah. So my reviews on these books, I read all 5 of them. This one I had read before, and I didn't like it as a kid. This one I had read before, and I did like it as a kid. This one I had read before, but I didn't remember reading it. And I also didn't remember half the shit that happened in it, so even better. I remembered Prim dying. I knew Prim died, but everything else in this book I forgot completely about. So the first one, I didn't like it as a kid because the first 13 chapters, nothing happens. It's character building, and I understand that now as an adult. But as a child, that was really boring. And my dad only read the first 13 chapters, and then he stopped. And I was like, you stopped just before anything good happened. Why would you do that? And he was like, I don't want to read about that. I just wanted to read the character building. And I can understand that, but at the same time, read about the children dying. My only thing with this book now, I think writing it in the first person was a big mistake. And I think this book, like the first one, is written kind of poorly. I'm not a huge fan of love stories or love triangles or any of that kind of shit. So like these books already have like an X for me. I think writing in first person was a mistake. I didn't like being Katniss. I really didn't. The second book was written a lot better than the first one. I liked this book just in general a lot more. I think a lot more happens in it. It's a lot more interesting to read. There's more characters that I care about. I don't really care about Peeta. I don't really care about Gale. I like Haymitch, and I like Katniss, and I liked BT. Is his name a joke on Bluetooth? Was that actually his name, BT? I think it's funny that all of their names correspond with their districts. Like Wiress is Wires. I don't remember any of the other ones, I'm sorry. But yeah, I liked this one a lot more than the first one. That's the main point, I guess. My review for this book is okay, yeah, never mind, these books are good. So I guess I liked this one. Again though, I don't remember what happens in it. Katniss has a panic attack like 20 times. Her sister dies. League? Who the fuck is League? Oh, this is the one, there's like a whole war thing and they're running through the city. I liked that a lot. I liked that. I liked them hiding out in a basement. I liked them like actually doing shit and like shit actually happening. I enjoyed that. I did. So this one is probably my favorite one. This is the one about Cornelius. What is his name? Coriolanus. What a horrible name. You can't put anus in someone's name. He is a tool. He's the worst, and I think we knew that going in because he is President Snow and we know that he's the worst. But he does so much PR for himself in this book, and it really comes through in the book. And I haven't actually seen the movie yet, but all of my coworkers were talking about it, and they were like, you know how he's a bad person in the book, and that's obvious because of the way it's written? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, he's not a bad person in the movie. Like, he's doing good things in the book, but that's just as a PR stunt. And then, in his head, he's thinking, like, this fucking sucks, I hate this, I don't want to be this person, like, I want to be an asshole. Like, his one friend, Sejanus, he hates him. They're not friends. He hates him so much, but he pretends to be friends with him because of, like, the positive, like, social gain, I guess, that he gets. You get that through the book, and you can do that in movies. you're capable of doing that in movies, even without like an inner dialogue or anything like that. Like, you can show it through the way that they're acting, the way that their face is. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't judge it that much. This book, though, I didn't like as much as the other three. I liked the beginning, I liked the middle, I just feel like the ending was a little bit rushed. The setup was okay, but I feel like it was just trying to get to the end too quickly. I don't know how else to explain that. But it also doesn't explain why Tigress hates snow in Mockingjay, which I was kind of looking forward to finding out. But what are you gonna do? This one I don't actually have the book itself, I've just got the dust cover. My sister has the book right now. This one was good though. I liked this one a lot. My review for this one is this is the best one, okay, maybe second best. I liked Haymitch a lot. I connect with his character a lot, aside from the drinking. I think he's very funny, and I think that the ending was really well written. I liked it. I didn't feel like it was rushed this time. And it makes sense for his character leading into the books. You know what? I'm gonna say it. This is the best one. This was the best book. The next book I read was The Goodbye Cat, which my friend gave to me. And it was a really cute book. It was very different than I was expecting. Because I thought it was gonna be like a full novel, but instead it's like a collection of stories. So it starts with The Goodbye Cat, and then it cuts into like a bunch of different stories. But yeah, it's about a bunch of different cats. Except there is 2 stories in this, I think it's the first one and the last one, that connect 2 people through a cat. And I wasn't expecting it to come full circle like that. But it was really cool to see that happen. It didn't connect all of the cats together. It's not like A Dog's Purpose or anything like that. But I thought it was really interesting that just 2 of the stories just happened to be like, oh, by the way, this is the same cat. I got this book at my old neighbor's garage sale, I guess you could call it. They just had a table with a bunch of books on it outside of their house for a day, and they were like, just take them. We don't want them, just take them. And I remember reading The Wars by Timothy Findley, and I really liked that book. I really liked the way that it was written, so I picked up another one by him. And this book is a lot thicker than The Wars, but I enjoyed it. It was written in the perspective of an older woman who is vacationing at like her family's typical vacation spot where they've been going for years and years and years. It's very like every character in this is very rich, very nepo baby, like all that kind of stuff. Old money kind of people. So it was interesting being in that headspace because I don't read a lot of books where those are the characters. I guess We Need to Talk About Kevin was kind of similar. But this one, it's very interesting. This was a very interesting book. I wasn't trying to solve a mystery while I was reading it, which is strange because it is a mystery. It literally says a mystery on it. And usually I'm trying to like figure out who did it, but I was just so interested in the characters instead, and the relationships between each character, than I had an interest in the actual mystery. I read Dolly, My Life and Other Unfinished Business, and it was really good. The only Dolly Parton song that I really listen to is 9 to 5, but I love that song. It's so good. So I saw this at Value and I was like, I have to read that. I love Dolly. And it was only $2, so why would I not? And now, like, knowing more about her, I love her more, you know? She's... What a woman. What a woman, this one. She was raised through a poor family, and her family's connections with, like her uncle, like, worked for someone who knew someone in the music business and, like, all that, or, like, the TV business or something, and, like, her family connections helped her out a little bit, like, getting into the limelight and all that, but, like, none of them were famous, you know, so she's not a nepo baby, but she values her family a lot, and you can tell by the way that she writes about them in this book. It was a very, very good book, very, very sweet. I really liked it. I liked Dolly Parton a lot. I read The Underground Railroad next, and this was an interesting book. This book has very mixed reviews. Mostly positive, but some of them are upset about the way that they handle the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad is not a real railroad. I hope that we all know that. I hope that we're all aware of that fact, and this is not new information. But in this book, Colson Whitehead decides to make it a real railroad, and it's a work of fiction. It doesn't shy away from a lot of the aspects of slavery. It's very uncomfortable to read at some points. But a lot of people were very upset that he made the Underground Railroad an actual railroad, but I kind of liked it. I liked it a lot because I think it works better with the characters in this book than like having the actual Underground Railroad. And it also makes it like different. And it isn't a real story either. Like, it's completely fabricated. I think it's a very interesting way to tell the story of slavery and of the Underground Railroad in a fictional setting rather than a realistic one. Everything that can go wrong in this book does go wrong, though. There's never a moment of relief in this book until I think the very end. There's no moment of relief in this book. Not even at the end. I liked it. I liked this book a lot. Okay, here we come back around to my ideas of meditation. I read No Such Thing as Silence, John Cage's 433 by Kyle Gann. And I really liked this book. I really enjoyed it. I read it, literally, I started reading it just for an assignment, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna read this whole book because it's really well written and really interesting to me. It talks about obviously John Cage's 433, talks about his influences in writing music. It talks about like how he went from writing actual music to more like theatrical pieces, and like Dada is not a musical form, but it's an art form, and people compare his art or his music to that. And it talks about how it was received, 433, at its premiere, and how it should be interpreted, and all this kind of stuff, and I just really liked this book a lot. It talked about Zen Buddhism, it talked about Japanese philosophy, talked about a lot of really cool concepts that I got to look more into because I knew that they existed, and I know that they exist now, and it kind of took over my brain a little bit from October to December when I was writing my essay. It was a really interesting book. I'm not going to suggest that anyone read it just because you have to care about a lot of different aspects of it to care about the book itself. Like, you have to care about 433. You have to care about meditation or Zen Buddhism or Japanese philosophy, or like there's a lot of, if you have any interest in any of those things, read it. It's really good. I liked the way it was written. I like the way that Gann writes. But if you don't have any interest in those things and you're trying to be interested in them, I guess you could use it as a stepping stone, but I don't know if it'll be very good, if that makes sense. But I liked it. It was really good. And finally, my aunt, not by relation or marriage, my mother's very close friend, gave me this book because I was complaining about music history and how I didn't care about old white men. And I was studying for my exam, and I was telling her about it, and I was like, I don't care about it. I can't force myself to study and learn it when I don't care about something, you know? Like, I can memorize it, but I don't feel like I'm, like, actually remembering anything, you know, if that makes sense. I'm sure it does. Everyone has had that kind of subject. But she gave me this book, which is called Bach, Beethoven, and the Boys. And it talks about them in, like, normal human English, and it also, like, gets you in the, like, headspace of like why they acted like they did a little bit. It's mostly jokes. It's like it's a comedy book. Like Beethoven, he once got so angry at a waiter that he dumped his plate of veal and gravy over the man's head, and then there's a footnote. There's a lot of footnotes in this book. These are all footnotes. The footnote for that one is, then he burst out laughing. You could never tell with Beethoven. Like, it's very clearly a comedy book. I mean, I didn't laugh. It helped me a lot with being able to understand a little bit more about the musicians and actually give a shit about the composers that we were learning about in class. And that was the last book that I read last year. Kind of a weird end, but I was really busy with school and with studying, and I also kind of just stopped reading halfway through. I read more books than I did last year, though. In 2024, I mean. So I'm gonna call it a win and hope that I read more books this year. I'm already reading one, so that's a good start. I'm reading The Green Mile. I hope that you all are having a wonderful new year. I'm sorry that I posted nothing in 2025 or streamed at all. Expect that to continue. Like I said, I don't really have the motivation to do so right now. It's just, I just don't care. I don't want to contribute to content online. I don't even want to consume content online anymore. And every time that I like made a short or posted like one of my stream VODs, it just made me feel bad because I just don't care. I just don't want to. Like I joked at the beginning of this, I don't want my hobbies to just be content. I can't do that, and I won't do that, honestly. I just can't. I think part of it is that no one actually watches stuff anymore. Everyone consumes, but they don't watch, if that makes sense. And even this video, it's gonna be like an hour. No one's gonna watch this, you know? And if they do, it's gonna be in the background. I'm just doing this because I read books and I'm never gonna watch this again, so I don't even know why I'm doing this, but I don't know. That's what I mean. I just don't know why I'm doing anything anymore. I'm doing fine. I have lots of friends, I have a great family, I have a great life, and I'm really enjoying myself not being online. And I don't need to make a video about how I'm doing not online, you know? Because that is really ironic to me, is how many people want to boast about their digital detox and how they're all doing so good at not being online. And then it's like, no, but you're still making content though. You're still thinking about your life as content instead of just existing and letting yourself have hobbies. Maybe I'll see you next year and maybe I won't. It all depends on if I'm in the mood for it. Because this one even was a real struggle to get through. But I hope you have a very good new year. I hope that your resolution happens. I don't know. I guess resolutions don't happen. You make them happen. I hope that you stick with your resolution. And if not, just start again.